We will begin with this prayer. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Lord Chaitanya, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya.
So before we begin, we will chant the invocation. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamam vande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramanandam Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram.
Hare Krishna. So here we are with the next chapter, chapter number 5, where we would be talking about the glories of Nityananda Balarāma. So this chapter has many sections, and it's a long chapter. So today we intend to cover what is there on the slides. So we have 1 to 6 Obeisances and prayers, 7 to 12 Lord Nityananda's 5 forms. So there are 5 expansions or 5 forms of Lord Nityananda. 13 to 49 Sankarsana and Catur view. So we will discuss about the Catur view, and specifically Sankarsana represents Nityananda Prabhu, so we would be discussing about him. Then 30, oh, there is a slight error. This is not 30 to 92. This should be 50 to 92. That is Karanodaksayi Vishnu.
50 to 92, yes.
Then 93 to 108 is Garbhodaksayi Vishnu. And then 109 to 125 is Kshirodaksayi Vishnu. And as you can see that in various sections within the bracket, we have mentioned a particular verse number. So if you remember, when we were discussing the first chapter, the first 6 verses were about Lord Chaitanya. And then the next 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, these verses were about Nityananda Prabhu. So we are discussing the next series of verses here, starting from verse number 1.7.
So this particular, like what is written is Adi 1.7. Adi means refers to the first kandam of or canto of Chaitanya Charitamrta. There are 3 of them. So this refers to the first one. And in that first one, the first chapter. So Adi 1.7 means Adi-lila, the first canto, first chapter, 7th verse. So that is the format that is being used.
So this slide we will discuss in the next class, because we are not taking up these verses here. These are the balanced verses for this chapter.
So there are total of 233 verses, out of which we tend to
Krishna willing, we will try to cover half of them.
So moving to this section of the first 6 verses, obeisances and prayers. Vande Nanta Bhutaishwaryam Shri Nityanandam Ishwaram Yasyechhaya Tat Swarupam Agnenapi Nirupyate. Let me offer my obeisances to Lord Sri Nityananda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose opulence is wonderful and unlimited. By his will, even a fool can understand his identity.
So that is the benediction. A fool can understand his identity. That is the benediction. That is the hope for all of us. that if we worship Lord Nityananda Prabhu in proper consciousness, that we can also understand our real identity.
By the grace, by his grace. So if he wants, then we can actually still understand, even if we are not so bright, or we are not so intelligent, or we are not so, super capable. Yes. So that is the nature of the people in Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, the scripture explains that people are usually little dull, and because of the influence of the age.
Sarva-avatari Krishna Swayam Bhagavan Tahara Dvitiya Deha Shri Balarāma Eka Swarupa Dohe Bhinna Matra Kaya Adya Kaya Vyuha Krishna Lila Sahaya. Sarva Avatari Krishna. Krishna is the head or the fountainhead of all the incarnations. Sarva Avatari Krishna Swayam Bhagwan. He is the original supreme personality of Godhead. He is Swayam Bhagwan. Tahara Dvitiya Deha. Deha means body. Dvitiya means second. So Krishna's second body is Shri Balarāma. So that is the description, that is the glories of Lord Balarāma, that it is mentioned in the scriptures that he is like the second body of Krishna. So two are one and the same identity, they differ in the form. Ekai Swarupa Donhe, both have similar identity. Bhinna Matra Kaya. So difference, where is the difference? The form is different. Kaya is different. Ade Kaya Vyuha Krishna Lila Sahaya. So he is the first expansion. Krishna's form, when it expands, so this is the first expansion, who is known as Balarāma. And what is the purpose of Balarāma? Lila Sahaya. He assists Lord Krishna's transcendental pastime. So that is the role of Lord Sri Balarāma. Sri Krishna Navadvipe Sri Chaitanya Chandra Sri Balarāma Sange Sri Nityananda.
So same Supreme Lord Krishna appeared in Navadvip as Sri Chaitanya Chandra, and same Balaram appeared as an associate called Sri Nityananda. So Sri Nityananda, so Chaitanya Mahāprabhu is non-different from Krishna. Krishna appeared in Navadvip as Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu, and along with him appeared Balaram as Sri Nityananda.
So we are getting into verse number 7 to 12, Lord Nityananda's 5 forms, which would be giving an explanation of Adi-lila, chapter 1, verse number 7.
So this would be easy for us to understand because Krishna and Chaitanya Mahāprabhu are non-different. Similarly, Balaram and Nityananda Prabhu are non-different. So from that point of view, we need to understand that how Lord Nityananda has 5 forms.
May Sri Nityananda Ram be the object of my constant remembrance. Sankarsana, Sheshnag, and the Vishnus who lie on the Karan ocean, Garbha ocean, and ocean of milk are his plenary portions and the portions of his plenary portions. So these are the 5 forms of Nityananda Prabhu. So we discussed it very briefly in chapter 1 when we were discussing over there. And we will dwell more upon these 5 forms. So these 5 forms or the 5 immediate expansion of Nityananda Prabhu is, first is Sankarsana, second is Seshanag, and then third, if we remember that there are 3 types of Vishnu which we discussed: Karanodaksayi Vishnu, Garbhodaksayi Vishnu, and Kshirodaksayi Vishnu. So the 3 Vishnus, so Sankarsana, Sheshnag, and the 3 Vishnus are actually Lord Nityananda's 5 forms.
A very easy way to understand these 3 Vishnus are that they are in the material world. From them, the whole material world manifests. They are the actual original creators, maintainers, and destroyers of the material world. And that is what is mentioned here. The Vishnus, these 3 Vishnus, Karanodaksayi Vishnu is lies in Karan ocean, Garbhodaksayi Vishnu lies in Garbha ocean, and Kshirodaksayi Vishnu lies in the ocean of milk.
Shri Balaram Gosai Mula Sankarshana Pancharupa Dhari Kare Krishnera Sevana.
Lord Balaram is the original Sankarshan. He assumes 5 other forms to serve Lord Krishna. So same point is being made here, that Lord Balaram is the original Sankarshan. So actually from Krishna comes Balaram, from Balaram comes the Sankarshan. So this is what is mentioned. He is the original Sankarshan and assumes 5 other forms. And the whole purpose of Balaramji and those expansions is to serve Krishna. Krishnera Sevan. So as we move on, this will we'll get more clarity on this.
So now let us discuss in detail about Sankarshan in Chaturvyuha, because it is mentioned in the previous verse about Sankarshan. So all of us may have heard this Sankarshan, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. So this is known as, they are known as Chaturvyuha, or the first primary expansion, or the 4 immediate expansion, where Vasudev is Krishna is represented by Vasudev, Balaram is represented by Sankarshan, and from them comes all the other expansions. So we will discuss specifically about Sankarshan here.
So here there are 3 things that we will be discussing. One is the Paravyoma, which is in the next few verses from 14 to 31.
The spiritual sky.
The spiritual sky, yes, Paravyoma. There is material world, spiritual world. Spiritual world, the name used here is Paravyoma, beyond this material world. And then we have Siddhaloka. Siddhaloka is discussed from 32 to 39. This refers to the planetary systems in the effulgence of the Lord, the Brahma Jyoti. In those, the Vaikuntha planets are there. So Siddhaloka, and then we have Maha Sankarshan. So there's a discussion on Maha Sankarshan. Let's look at these verses. Yes.
So the difference between Paravyoma and Siddhaloka, though they are both constituting the spiritual sky or the spiritual world, but in Paravyoma there are a lot of activities, there are a lot of relationships, there are devotees and the Supreme Lord, and there are activities. In Siddhaloka, basically it is the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. So we will discuss both in detail as what happens where.
I surrender unto the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Ram, who is known as Sankarshan, in the midst of the Chaturvyuha, consisting of Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. He possesses full opulences and resides in the Vaikuntha, far beyond the material creation. So here Krishnadas Kaviraj is offering his obeisances to Sri Nityananda Ram. We now need to understand, remember that he is not different from Balaram. So that is what is mentioned here. Sri Nityananda Ram, who is known as Sankarshan, in the midst of the Chaturvyuha, consisting of Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. So these are the expansions. So Krishna, from Krishna comes Balaram, from Lord Balaram comes this Chaturvyuha, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. So before we go on and we hear so many different forms of the Lord, we need to understand that all these forms of Lord that we are discussing, they are actually one person. They are not different personalities. They are all one person. They are all Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they all vary in terms of the qualities that they exhibit or the roles that they have, that they execute. The role that they play are different. So Krishna is the Swayam Bhagavan, the original Supreme Personality Godhead, and then from him expands Balaram, and then from him expands this Chaturvyuha. So all these personalities, they are all unlimited, infinite Supreme Personality of Godhead, but still there are differences, and that's how we are trying to understand that, there is Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. So Sri Nityananda Ram possesses full opulences, reside in Vaikuntha, far beyond the material creation. So all these personalities are in Paravyoma. They are beyond this material creation in the Vaikuntha. That's where they reside. All these, if you notice that all these forms are 400 forms and they reside in the Vaikuntha. There is more distinction between them, and we will see as we carry on.
Prakritira para para vyomanamitham Krishna vigrayaiche vibhuti adi gunvan. Beyond the material nature lies the realm known as Paravyoma, the spiritual sky. Like Lord Krishna himself, it possesses all transcendental attributes such as the six opulences. So as we can see here in the picture, which is a little tiny and which is not like very, very clear, but then there are two circular or the curve. So that is the our universe where we are living. So the bottom one, the dark brown one, and then there is a blue lining, thick blue band around it. So this is actually the universe where we are living. And then in between that white portion is the Brahma Jyoti. And then beyond that, the band which is blue and red. So those are innumerable Vaikuntha lokas. And beyond the Vaikuntha is Krishnaloka. So this is the spiritual sky, which is mentioned as Paravyoma. So this is what the description is about, that spiritual space. So here it is, as you can see that the bottom it is written Brahma Jyoti. And when we cross Brahma Jyoti, there it is written Kailash. That is the spiritual Kailash. And we go up a little. And then we reach this Vaikuntha Lok, and then you see there are so many tiny, small, bright,
Stars.
effulgent,
Planets.
Yeah, so those are actually innumerable Vaikuntha planets. And when we cross Vaikuntha and go beyond that, then what is written there is Madhurya Dham. So that is where actually Krishna performs his pastime, and that area is divided into three regions, which we will be studying shortly. Sarvaga Ananta Vibhu Vaikunthadi Dham Krishna Krishna Avatare Tahani Vishram Tahara Upari Bhage Krishnaloka Khyati Dwaraka Mathura Gokul Trividhatvesthiti. So Sarvag Anant Vibhu, so it is all pervading. Sarvagya, it is everywhere, all pervading. Anant, infinite, it is infinite, and Vibhu, it is supreme. So this is the Vaikuntha Dham, which has so many characteristics. And Krishna and Krishna's avatar or Krishna's incarnations, they all reside there. So these places which we are discussing is the residence of Lord Krishna and all his incarnations. Tahara upari bhage Krishnaloka khyati. So the above portion, the top portion, upari bhag, that is known as Krishnaloka. And this Krishnaloka, the highest region of the spiritual world, is divided into three areas: Dwaraka, Mathura, and Gokul.
So maybe I think what I'm suggesting is in the next session, probably I will create one spiritual map of the spiritual world where we have these different planetary systems, and I will draw some kind of a graph or some kind of a map so that we can understand that for the spiritual world as well as for the Chatur Vyuha expansions. So for Chatur Vyuha also we'll make a small diagram so that we can understand it more easily. But that will happen by the next session.
So here it is mentioned that there are three places which are in the highest realm of
Krishnaloka,
spiritual world, or Krishnaloka.
So there are three divisions in Krishnaloka.
And these divisions, as we have made here, is on the basis of the hierarchy. So even that, so first comes Dwarka. So there is Dwarka, there is Mathura, and then there is Gokul. So if you can see the pictures, you would understand how the mood is completely different. So Dwarka king, Krishna is like a king. So he is not so approachable for everyone because he is the king. So he is not very easily approachable or available in Dwarka. Same king when he was in Mathura. So before shifting to Dwarka, he was in Mathura. And when he entered Mathura, that time he was just a cowherd boy who comes to Mathura. And then later on, he kills Kansa, and then he establishes his grandfather as the king. So that is his position in Mathura. And in Gokul, actually, Krishna is serving his own devotees. So the service attitude is also different. In Gokul, there is a lot of sweetness, and where Krishna personally serves his devotees. So these are the three topmost planets in the spiritual realm, which is divided into, which is named as Krishnaloka.
This again verse?
No, there is Sarvaga Ananta Vibhu Krishna Tanu Sama Upari Adho Vyapyachi Nahika Niyama Brahmande Prakasha Tara Krishnera Ichhaya Ekai Swarupa Tara Nahi Duikaya.
Like the transcendental body of Lord Krishna, Gokul is all-pervading, infinite and supreme. It expands both above and below without any restriction. That abode is manifested within the material world by the will of Lord Krishna. It is identical to that original Gokul. They are not two different bodies. So here there is glorification of Gokul, and it is explained that how, like Lord's form is infinite, it is unlimited. Similarly, his abode is also infinite, all-pervading and supreme. So there is no restriction. Like, for example, everything in the material world or on our planet can be measured in kilometers. We have, like, Chennai is so many square kilometers, so, or if you go to Vrindavan, 84 crores, that is the kind of to our material understanding, that is the area that is covered by, or that is the distance that devotees cover during the parikrama. So that we may perceive only from the material sense, but the actual abode of the Lord is all-pervading, infinite, and it is supreme. So there is no limitation. It is so amazing to know that when Ras Leela was happening, there are many estimates, but one estimate says there were 3 billion gopis. 3 billion gopis, and with each gopi there was Supreme Lord also. So there were 3 billion gopis with 3 billion forms of Krishna, and they were all dancing together, right? And all of them could be accommodated in one part of that Vrindavan. So just to give you an example that how Gokul is all-pervading, infinite and supreme. And it is mentioned that the same Gokul which is there in the spiritual world manifested by the will of the Lord, by the grace of the Lord in the material world. So when we go to this place which is close to Delhi, we can buy a flight ticket, train ticket and reach there. But that place is actually non-different from the spiritual world, from the spiritual Gokul. They are not two different bodies.
So Satyendra is asking, no, Vrindavan. Actually, Gokul, what we are referring to, is also known as Golok Vrindavan. So it's the same place.
So Lord Krishna's primary quadruple forms, so we have been discussing this, are the Vasudev, Sankarsana, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. So these are the 4 forms, and these 4 forms are differentiated based on what they hold in their 4 hands. So we see that here Shankha, Chakra, Gada and Padma. So how these 4 transcendental objects are held by the Lord in those 4 different hands, depending on them, that we have these different names. So these Lord Krishna, Balarāma, from Balarāma, the first quadruple expansion, and from the Sankarsana, from this Sankarsana, you have the second name, Sankarsana. From him expands the second Chatur Vyuha or Maha Sankarsana, and then again there is another quadruple. So we will see. So what is important for us to understand is that these forms of the Lord, they are purely transcendental. They are Supreme Lord. So it may be a little difficult for us to understand because when it comes to us, I am a single individual. I cannot expand even as 2, right? Even if parents have a child and they may think that the child is my expansion, but that is actually not correct, because child is a separate individual soul. So I am a spirit soul. I cannot really expand into other bodies, other forms, but Lord can, and Lord can do so infinitely. So there can be many, many forms of the Lord. So Vasudev, Sankarsana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha are all Supreme Lord, are all one person, right? But we also see that there are differences in terms of their forms, differences in their qualities, right? So, and that's why there is differentiation between one form of the Lord and another form of the Lord. So these are all purely transcendental, eternal forms of the Lord.
Paravyoma madhye kari swarupa prakash Narayana rupe kare vividha vilas. In the Vaikuntha planets of the spiritual sky, the Lord manifests his identity as Narayan and performs pastime in various ways. So now it is talking about Narayan. So the Supreme Lord in Vaikuntha planet, he is known as, so first we discussed about Krishnaloka. And then after Krishnaloka, we are coming to the other Vaikuntha planets. So where Krishna manifests his Narayan form. So Krishna has 2 arms and Narayan has 4 arms. So that is a huge difference between them. And then the nature, the characteristics are different. So gradually when we will proceed in these classes, this would become more and more clear.
Yeah, so one thing we need to very simply understand difference between Krishna, especially in Gokul. Krishna is considered as an ordinary cowherd boy and everybody loves him. But when it comes to Vaikuntha, everybody, all the Vaikuntha Vasis accept Krishna as a Supreme Lord, and they have a very a relationship full of awe and reverence. As for example, we would have towards a king, or as we would have towards, for example, our prime minister or president of a country, we may have a relationship of some awe and reverence. So like that, so the Lord of Vaikuntha, all the Vaikuntha Vasis have a relationship that he is the Supreme Lord and I am his servant.
So Krishna in the form of Lord Narayan has 4 hands, and then it is mentioned there in verse number 27 to 30 that they actually deliver the living entity by offering them 4 kinds of liberation. So far we were thinking about, okay, so the problem of life is birth, death, old age and disease, and let me perfect my life and get liberated from all the miseries of life. But here when we come to Chaitanya Charitamrta, we will understand that there are 4 types of liberation which is mentioned here, and then Krishna would talk about one more type of liberation. So actually there are total 5 categories or 5 ways of liberation. So as it says here, Salokya, Samipya, Sarshti and Sarupya. So as you can see in the picture that Krishna with 2-handed form holding the flute, and the mood is completely different there. So Krishna does not need a weapon when he is in Vrindavan. All he has is his flute. And with the flute itself, he churns the heart of his devotees and make them fall in love with him all over again. But on the other hand, we see that Vishnu standing there with 4 arms and he is holding different things and his purpose is different. But ultimately, they are offering 4 kinds of liberation.
So if you look at, I mean, most of us might have, if you are not aware of this, we would think that liberation means one. Liberation means to get out of this material world. But then liberation is also of different types. And here, 4 of them are mentioned here. Salokya means that Lord gives me liberation from the material world and takes me to the same planet as that of the Lord. So Lord, if I am worshiping a particular form of the Lord, so I go to the same planet where the Lord is residing. So Salokya, I am on the same planet as that of the Lord. Same Loka, yes. Second is Samipya, where I am I am liberated in a way that I go and attain a position which is where I am very close to the Lord, where I'm in Lord's constant association. That is Samipya. Samipya, some of you who know Hindi, Samipya means close. Third is Sarshti, or means that one attains, so Lord gives the liberation, and when the devotee goes to the spiritual world, he attains the same opulence as that of the Lord. So that is the blessing or the grace of the Lord, and he attains the same opulences as that of the Lord. And fourth one is Sarupya. Sarupya refers to that one attains same bodily features. So
Bhagwan
yeah,
ke jaisa ho jata hai.
Sarupya as the same form as that of the Lord. So I'll just take you back in one of the images here. Now, if you notice in the picture, so we see here the Lord of Vaikuntha is seated on the
Asana.
what is it? The throne. The Lord of Vaikuntha is seated on the throne. He has 4 hands. But if you look at his servants, the Vishnu Dutas or the Vaikunthavasi, so they also have the similar form. They also have 4-handed forms.
So that becomes Sarupya.
Yeah, that becomes Sarupya. Same bodily features.
So what we are discussing here are actually, as I said, that there are 5 types of liberation, but these 4 actually take me to the spiritual world. The 5th one does not allow me entrance in this.
In the spiritual planet, they don't allow the entrance into the spiritual planet. I think a lot of you are asking questions. I think it's better that you post your questions in Q&A and then we can discuss those answers in great detail.
Brahma sayujya mukte tahanahi gati Vaikuntha bahire hayata sabarastiti. So here it is mentioned about those who get this sayujya or the 5th type of liberation. So what is their destiny? So it is mentioned that those who attain Brahma sayujya liberation cannot gain entrance into Vaikuntha. So they actually do not go inside the Vaikuntha planet. Their residence is outside the Vaikuntha planet. So inside the Vaikuntha planet, who's there? We saw inside the Vaikuntha planet, there is the Supreme Lord in Narayan form in Vaikuntha. And then we also see that there is Krishna personally present and doing different leelas, either Mathura or Dwarka or Goloka. So like that it is happening. But those devotees who aspire for Sayujya type of liberation, they do not get enter.
They are not devotees.
Yeah, they are not really devotees, so they do not get entrance there. So what happens to them is they are outside in the Brahma effulgence. So if I'm only thinking of ending my sorrows, like, okay, this life is very miserable, so I just want to get out of it. I don't want anything. So I do not have any desire to serve the Supreme Lord. I do not have any desire to have a relationship with the Supreme Lord. So I do not get entry there in the Vaikuntha planet. I wait outside in the Brahma Jyoti.
I mean, it's very logical, no? If I'm only thinking of myself, selfish, if I'm completely selfish, even from a spiritual point of view, I want to end my miseries. I want to get liberated. I want everything for myself. So that person is not really so much interested in the Lord, right? So why would the Lord allow him to be close to him or allow him to come to his own planet? So all that, so that's why all these types of liberations are not accessible to him because he's not looking for them.
Yeah, he doesn't want it.
Yeah, he doesn't want it. He just wants to get freedom, from the material world and just be situated in the Brahma Jyoti. So that is why in Hindi, you may hear people say Brahma Jyoti mein leen hona. So that is Sayujya Mukti. Or in sometime if you see in English, they will say, to merge with the Brahman effulgence, right? So those are the people who attain Brahma Sayujya. So from a devotee's point of view, this is considered, this is not considered as an option. It is considered as spiritual suicide because we eternally remain in a situation where we are all stuck up in the Brahma Jyoti. Yes, I don't have any problems of the material world, no birth, death, old age or disease, but I don't have association of the Lord. Lord is the bliss personified, his happiness personified, and I don't have the association of such a wonderful person. And this situation is there eternally. So therefore it is, Acharya is compared to as committing spiritual suicide. So devotees never consider this as an option actually.
So there is peace but no bliss. Vaikuntha bahire eka jyotirmaya mandala Krishnera angera prabha parama ujjwala.
Outside the Vaikuntha planets is the atmosphere of glowing effulgence, which consists of the supremely bright rays of the body of Lord Krishna. So beyond the Vaikuntha planets is this glowing effulgence, the atmosphere of glowing effulgence, which consists of those bright light coming from the form of the Lord. And this is actually called Siddhaloka. So in the beginning of the session, I said Siddhaloka is where the Vaikuntha planets is, but actually that is not correct. Siddhaloka is the beyond. So Supreme Lord is there, and then there are so many, there is Krishnaloka, then there are Vaikuntha Lokas, and beyond the Vaikuntha Lokas is just atmosphere or spiritual place, which is full of bright, spiritual, transcendental light coming from the form of the Lord. And that is being discussed here. That is actually Siddhaloka.
Siddhaloka nama tara prakritira para chitta swarup taha nahi chit shakti vikara. That region is called Siddhaloka, and it is beyond the material nature. Its essence is spiritual, but it does not have spiritual varieties. So there is a vikar, there is a defect here, that it does not have spiritual varieties. So we are all constantly looking for variety, otherwise life becomes very boring and monotonous if the same thing continues. But what happens in this Siddhaloka is that there is no variety, there is just, like as I was saying, there is just peace, but there is no bliss. So this is Siddhaloka.
Sometimes we ask people, what do you want in life? And many people say, I want peace, because there is so much of trouble, so much of pain, so much of misery. So they're all looking for peace. But actually, the nature of a living entity is not peace. The nature of living entity is Sat Chit Anand. Actually, they're all pleasure seeking. Pleasure seeking is primary to living entity or to Jiva.
Taiche Paravyome nana chit shakti vilas Nirvishesha Jyotirbimba Bahire Prakash Nirvishesha Brahma Se Keval Jyotirmaya Sayujera Adhikari Taha Payalaya. Thus, in the spiritual sky, there are varieties of pastimes within the spiritual energy. Outside the Vaikuntha planets appears the impersonal reflection of light. That impersonal Brahma effulgent consists only of the effulgent rays of the Lord. Those fit for Sayuja liberation merge into that effulgence. So this is the destiny of those who are looking for Sayuja liberation, that they do not get variety, they do not get into activity, they just merge into that bright light which is coming from the body of the Supreme Lord.
And this shows the grace of the Lord. You want a relationship with me, come to my planet. You don't want a relationship with me, okay, then still you come to the spiritual world, but you will not find me, you will not connect with me, you will be outside.
Se Paravyome Narayana Charipashe Dwaraka Chatur Vyuhera Dvitiya Prakashe Vasudeva Sankarsana Pradyumna Niruddha Dvitiya Chatur Vyuhe Turiya Vishuddha. So now we are talking about Dvitiya Prakash, or the second expansion. So first we discussed which was happening there in the Krishnaloka. Now we are talking about in that spiritual sky, on the four sides of Narayan, are the second expansion of quadruple expansions of Dwaraka. Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha constitute this second quadruple. They are purely transcendental. So as we were discussing, Krishna, Balaram, from Balaram, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. So this is all we were discussing in Krishnaloka. And now again, it is talking about the spiritual sky, and we are talking about Narayan, we are talking about Vaikuntha planet, and then there again, an expansion of that expansion. So this is the second expansion. It's like a double role. So that was the first one, and this is the second role of Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. So they are coming for the second time now. So we are talking about the Maha Sankarshan in this particular section, and this Maha Sankarshan is actually in Siddhaloka. So he is the shelter of the spiritual energy, He is the primary cause of all the causes. He is the shelter of all the jivas. He is the original shelter of the Purusha. He is shelter of everything. So if we will read through these sections, so we have summarized these sections because we did not want to go too much into detail. But those of you who are interested can go through all these verses. And this is the summary of the verses of this section about Maha Sankarshan. So his power, his glories are described there. And the last point which is mentioned is that this Maha Sankarshan is actually the partial expansion of Nityananda Balarāma. So can we imagine how powerful Nityananda himself is? So the whole point is coming down to that, because he is the caretaker of the spiritual energy. He's caretaker of the marginal energy. He's caretaker of the shelter of the Purusha. Purusha, we will be discussing now, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. So he's the shelter of everything. And this Maha Sankarshan is actually the partial expansion of Nityananda.
So we are talking about that how Lord Nityananda has 5 expansions, and among them was Sankarshan, Shesha, and the Vishnu. So these are the 3 Vishnus. If you remember, we had a similar slide few days back. First session. Yes. So because there are so many living entities who want to enjoy separately from Krishna, they have nothing to do with Krishna. They don't want the Supreme Lord. So Lord has to make some arrangements for him and for such living entities. So what happens is, so here in this particular place, we were discussing about Maha Sankarshan. So we had Krishna, we had Balarāma. From Balarāma, they were all in the Gokul or Krishnaloka. And from that, Balarāma came the first Chatur Vyuha. So all that was in Krishnaloka. From Krishnaloka came these Vaikuntha planets, right? So from Balarāma came Sankarshan, and from Sankarshan came Maha Sankarshan, and from this Maha Sankarshan comes these 3 Vishnus. So they are these, when we talk about these 3 Vishnus, they are all related to in this material world, related with this material world. So Karanodaksayi Vishnu is this great personality, Supreme Lord. He is lying down, and from his bodily pores, there are unlimited universes that come out with every exhalation. So every time he exhales, there from the pores of his body, there are so many unlimited universes that come out. And when he breathes in, all those universes go back in him. So if you remember, sometime back we were discussing one day of Brahma. So there was one day and one night. Similarly, Brahma lives for 12 months and 100 years. And that 100 years is the lifetime of Brahma. So from creation to destruction of the universe, he is there. So all those 100 years of Brahma are equivalent to just one breath of Karanodaksayi Vishnu. So Karanodaksayi Vishnu exhales, the unlimited universes come into existence. He inhales and all of them go in. So that is just breathing out, breathing in is one lifetime of Brahma.
Like for us, carbon dioxide and oxygen. For him, universes going in and coming out.
Yeah, so there are some analogies which have been given there. So for example, if there is a window which is open, and if we can possibly see the dust particles, coming out and going, coming in and going out of that window is compared, and that's one analogy which is being given there to understand how the infinite universes come and go. Of course, for us, it may be, I don't know, some of us may find it little fantastical or maybe little difficult to understand. But this is Supreme Lord, and it is his spiritual form, which is infinitely capable. And our forms are limited, are very, very limited. So if you try to, think from our bodily perspective or point of view, then we cannot really understand this. So we need to understand that Lord is supremely capable, and all of this is possible for him without any effort. So Karanodaksayi does not have to put in an effort. Now I have to create universes. So exhale and then the universe. No, there is no effort. You can see that how Karanodaksayi Vishnu is happily, blissfully in his Yog Nidra. So when the universe is manifest from the form of Mahavishnu, this blob of matter is there, but it cannot really act on its own. So this matter, the Panch Mahabhut, the elements of material nature, they cannot act on their own, right? So they need the Supreme Lord for it to get into action. So, there's a glance of the Lord, and then the Lord personally enters into each of those unlimited universes. So first, Karanodaksayi Vishnu exhales those universes, then he enters into each of those universes as Garbhodakshayi Vishnu.
So in Karanodaksayi Vishnu, in the picture on the top, we are seeing there are so many bubbles. It looks like water bubbles, or so many bubbles are there. So each of this bubble is actually one universe. So our universe where we are staying in is just one of those bubbles, of those innumerable bubbles, which Karanodaksayi Vishnu has exhaled. And we are living in till the time he inhales. So now each one of these bubble is expanded in the second picture.
We are zooming in.
Yeah, we are zooming in one of the bubble, and there we reach to Garbhodakshayi Vishnu.
So we have Garbhodakshayi Vishnu in each of these universes, and from this Garbhodakshayi Vishnu is actually from his navel there is a lotus which sprouts, and Brahma appears on the top of this lotus. So that is the form of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. We have a very famous temple in Trivandrum, Anant Padmanabh temple. That is of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. And then we have Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, the Supreme Lord residing in your heart and my heart. So the all-pervading form of the Lord. So like we have in our schools, we have a subject called geography. We have studied geography, right? So we have a subject called geography. This is geography of the universe and beyond the universe. So we are just trying to understand that.
So there is this Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, which we were discussing, that how from his navel this lotus sprouts, and from that lotus comes Brahmaji, and then he becomes the secondary creator. So whatever creation happens, we see or we know that Brahma is the creator, but he actually is first created by Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, and then he creates. So what does he create? He creates this 14 planetary system. So it is described that this stem, within that stem is actually 14 planetary system, which is there created by Brahma. And then, as Prabhu explained, Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, or the Paramatma. So not only you and me, but all the living entities. When we were warm in the stool, we had that body also. And even in that body, Paramatma would come. So all the living entities' body, Paramatma also enters as Kshirodakshayi Vishnu.
So we look at the Karanodaksayi Vishnu, and I think we'll see. So Karanodaksayi Vishnu is the one that I have been spending some time explaining, that he is the one from whose exhalation the universes come, and whose inhalation all these universes go back in him.
Sita Karanarnave Sei Sankarsana Apanara Eka Amshe Karena Shayana Mahata Srishta Purush Tinho Jagat Karan Adya Avatara Kare Mayaya Ikshana. In that ocean lies a plenary portion of Lord Sankarsana. He is known as the first Purush, the creator of the total material energy. He is the cause of the universes. The first incarnation casts his glance over Maya. So this portion we have already discussed. Prabhu has explained about Karanodaksayi Vishnu as how he himself is the plenary portion of Lord Sankarsana, who is the expansion of Balarāma. So this is how it is described, that he is glancing on Prakriti, he glances on Maya.
And we may, just to remind all of us why we are discussing all of this, why we are discussing these different forms of the Lord, because all of these forms originate from Lord Nityananda, because Balarāma and Lord Nityananda are not different. So for all these forms, Maha Vishnu, Karanodaksayi Vishnu here, then Garbhodaksayi Vishnu, Kshirodaksayi Vishnu. So all these Vishnu forms, they are all coming from Lord Nityananda. So then we understand the position of Nityananda properly, and therefore there's so much of time Krishnadas Kaviraj is spending here to explain, and we are also spending time here to understand the greatness of Lord Nityananda.
Purusha nasate yobe bahiraya shwas Nishvasa sahite haya brahmanda prakash Punarapi shwasa yobe pravesha antare Shwasa saha brahman paishe purusha sharire.
When the Purusha exhales, the universes are manifested with each outward breath. Thereafter, when he inhales, all the universes again enter his body. So exhale, and there are unlimited universes manifest from the pores of his body. And then when he inhales, all those unlimited universes, they go back in his form, transcendental spiritual form.
Vishnu stutrini rupani purushakyani atho viduhu ekam tu mahata shrishtar dvitiyam tva anda samasthitam tritiyam sarva bhutastham tani gyatva vimuchyate. So now here we are talking about the three Purushas or the three types of Vishnus. So here if we read the shloka, the third line talks about Ekam, fourth line is telling about the Dvitiyam Purush, and the fifth line tells about the Tritiyam Purush. So what is that? Vishnu has three forms called Purushas. The first Mahavishnu is the creator of total material energy Mahat. The second is Garbhodaksayi Vishnu, who's situated within each universe. And the third is Kshirodaksayi, who lives in the heart of every living being. He who knows these three becomes liberated from the clutches of Maya.
So those of you who are attentive and not sleepy in today's session till now, if you have heard and if you kind of understood, you're actually becoming liberated from the clutches of Maya. This knowledge, if you get, if you understand, then you're free from the clutches of Maya.
So the glories of Karanodaksayi Vishnu, it is explained again in various verses, and we have brought a gist of all of that so that you can quickly capture and always remember. So the first point, creates and enters the universe. So he is the one who creates. Karanodaksayi Vishnu, when he exhales, he creates universes and he enters in those universes as Garbhodaksayi Vishnu. Then the second is inhales and exhales the universes. And then these universes emanates from his skin pores. So we have unlimited skin pores. We cannot actually count how many pores are there on our body. So imagine.
There itself we are limited.
Yeah. And imagine Mahavishnu, how many pores he would have. And unlimited universes comes and goes in through his skin pores. He is the source of other Purushas. So who are the other Purushas? The Garbhodaksayi Vishnu and the Kshirodaksayi Vishnu. So from him comes them. He is the source of other incarnations. So it is mentioned the incarnation like Matsya, Kurma, they actually come from him. They actually originate from him. So he is the sources of other incarnation. He create, maintain and destroy the universe. So when he breathes out, he has actually created. And when he has breathed out but not breathing in, he is maintaining. And when he breathes in, he actually destroys these universes.
So we have this information that Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, the creator, maintainer and destroyer of the material universes, that is for within the universe. But we see that beyond the universe, actually it is the Mahavishnu who is the original creator, maintainer and destroyer of the universes.
He is both the part and the whole. So he is part of these various universes and he is the whole, the total summum bonum of everything. So he is part and whole. He is both inside the universe as Garbhodaksayi and Kshirodaksayi Vishnu, and he is outside the universe as Mahavishnu. And though he is creating all this, but he does not come in contact with Maya. So this is Mahavishnu. This is Karanodaksayi Vishnu, whom we also call as Mahavishnu. And this Mahavishnu is but
an expansion
of
an expansion of Lord Nityananda.
So we can imagine, we can like try to imagine how powerful, how glorious Lord Nityananda is. So we will just complete this section. Seta Purusha Yanra Amshadharena Chaitanya Sange Se Nityananda.
That Mahapurush, Karanodaksayi Vishnu, is known as the plenary part of him who is Lord Nityananda, Balarāma, the favorite associate of Lord Chaitanya. So this Mahapurush, Karanodaksayi Vishnu, is a plenary part of him who is Lord Nityananda, Balarāma. So this is what is explained here. Amsha Dhare Naam. He is just he is a plenary part of Lord Nityananda, and Lord Nityananda is the favorite associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahāprabhu.
So bolo Nityananda Ram ki
Jai.
Jai. So thank you all very much for joining us today evening for this Chaitanya Charitamrta session. We will stop the session here because we have ended the section. And whatever questions you have, we have pasted the Q&A link. So kindly send your questions there and we will get back to you with your...
We'll answer those questions. We'll resolve those doubts.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubha evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna.